I'm here today with some hidden gem horror film recommendations for the free streaming service Tubi. I've done lots of these videos before, which I will leave in the description if you want even more Tubi recommendations. There are literally thousands of films on Tubi, hundreds of horror films and some really good ones. We've got a mix of popular horror films on there and also some hidden gems. So I've taken on the mission of watching all the horror films on there and picking out the good from the bad. I've chosen 5 films to talk about today, some from the 80s, some are found footage, and we've even got a film that came out last year that definitely went under the radar. So we may as well just start off with that one, and that's a film called The Decedent. Bella is a young mortician working in her family's funeral home. Her main job is preparing the bodies, especially for open caskets. She does their makeup and also works on reconstructing parts of their face or their bodies if they've been mutilated in death. She's really good at what she does and she does actually enjoy her job. She also records herself doing that, and these videos are used as lessons to teach people who are training in the same field. One night she ends up having to work late. She is basically in the home by herself. There is one other person in there, the maintenance guy, but he's in and out, so she does spend the majority of the night by herself. As she is working on this body, strange things start to happen, and she also finds herself curious on who this person is. As the night progresses, she grows more and more suspicious of the weird things that are just happening around her, and she discovers some dark secrets about her client. This was just a random film that I stumbled upon. I actually decided to watch it because I liked the look of the poster, and I was really pleasantly surprised by it. It's got a short runtime of only 82 minutes long, and it's really quick to get straight into things. The setting of it being in a funeral home is perfect for a horror film, especially at night and with our main character being very isolated. Bella's job and the whole scenario is very creepy and also very interesting in itself, which really hooked me from the beginning. We don't really start with any background story or anything, we just dive straight in, which I really appreciate. We pick up pieces of the story and learn about the characters as all the action is happening. This is a found footage film, which just adds another layer of realism in my opinion. It definitely seems like more of a smaller budget. Some of the effects are a little bit overused. Overall, I would say it's effective in creating a creepy and tense atmosphere. We see some of the scenes play out through security cameras, which I really like. It's very easy to follow the storyline. It's a very straightforward film, but it does also have a few twists and also a bit of gore. My next recommendation is from 1988. And it's a film that was on my watch list for quite a while, and I finally got round to watching it, and that's a film called Pin. I really didn't know what to expect with this one, and it was incredibly strange, very weird. We follow a family of 4 who are in the medical industry. Maybe I should say family of 5, because they work with a plastic medical dummy called Pin. He's purely for education purposes, for people learning and patients. He's kind of robotic. He can't actually move at all, but he can answer people's questions. We first start out seeing the 2 children of the family, siblings Leon and Ursula, as younger children and their interactions with Pin. Leon in particular has always had a real fascination with Pin, even as they grow older, because we see the siblings many years later, unfortunately losing their parents in a car crash. Leon decides to bring Pin home to live with him and his sister Ursula. This seemed like a strange but fine idea at first, but with Pin being around all the time, it just enhances Leon's fixation and obsession with Pin. The plastic medical dummy has a really creepy, strange look anyway. I feel like any non-human dummy or robot always gives off weird vibes because it looks so much like us, but it's not. This went to places that I really didn't expect, especially towards the end. That is definitely the part of the film that I enjoyed the most. The first half of the film I wasn't a massive fan of, especially when the 2 siblings were children. I feel like some strange decisions were made there, especially in the script. I did actually go to turn it off at one point Then I looked at some reviews on Letterboxd and saw a lot of people really liking it and saying that the end really takes a turn. So I decided to carry on and just see what it was all about. I would definitely say this is a hidden gem from the 80s and definitely deserves some more recognition, especially in weird horror films. Another small criticism, I would have probably liked it to be maybe 10 minutes shorter. I did find it drag in areas, but I was quick to pick my attention back up, especially when Pin was on the screen. My next recommendation is called Mr. Creep. This is kind of a rogue one. I don't think too many people have seen this film. It's definitely not a popular, high-budget, big release. It is directed by Isaac Rodriguez, though, who did the film Deadware, a very, very cheesy screen life game horror film. His films are usually very short, which is the case with this one at being only 66 minutes long. In this found footage film, we follow 4 college students who go on a search to uncover some hidden secrets once they find a secret television broadcast of a dead serial killer wearing a clown mask. This serial killer isn't just wearing a clown mask, he actually had the mask burn onto his face, so it's kind of a part of him now. In the broadcast, we see footage of the serial killer doing an interview whilst he is in prison. He's wearing a straitjacket. He is quite creepy looking. At first, I was expecting this to be incredibly cheesy and maybe not the best, but it did actually surprise me, especially with how scary it was. It honestly made me jump probably about 10 times. Maybe there were too many jump scares, but I definitely found them really effective, especially the build up to the jump scares. Even though you know one is coming, it still gets you. There is a lot of creepy imagery, especially with this clown face popping up here, there and everywhere. We also get a creepy doll and some other absolutely terrifying moments, which I won't spoil. But if you also watch this film or have already watched it, please let me know if the jump scares also got you. Found footage to me is always the creepiest subgenre in horror. When we followed the students, I felt like those moments felt a lot more realistic than the police interviews with the serial killer. He kind of did look a little bit animated at times, and it was cheesy, but I quickly got over that. The locations, especially towards the end, where they're out in nature at night, it really does set the scene for the scares. My next recommendation is from 1980, and that's the film The Boogey Man. Now, from the title, I really did expect something different from this, because we do have a few films with the same name that I've seen that's literally about like a boogeyman in the closet or under the bed. This one is very different and very unique. Another short one at only 82 minutes long, and it really takes a bizarre turn at the end. The film starts off with quite a disturbing opening scene where we see 2 young siblings who are obviously abused by their parents, especially the little boy being abused by his stepfather. They are both very young, and the little boy is fed up of the literal torture, which I mean, can you blame him? So the little sister Lacey witnesses her brother murder her stepfather. She sees him doing this in the reflection of a mirror. Now, many years later, the 2 siblings are grown up, but still traumatized by their past. The mirror that caused Lacey so much pain that night accidentally shatters, causing a curse to unleash upon their family. This curse leads to some dark consequences to anyone that comes across a shard of this mirror. I didn't read the synopsis before watching this film, so I had no idea that it was going to be about a cursed mirror. As someone who really likes the film Oculus, a Mike Flanagan film about a cursed mirror, I really liked this one. It definitely had some bonkers moments and was an interesting surprise for it to be not literally about a boogeyman. I do feel like the title is a bit rogue and kind of throws you off if you don't know what this film is about. Again, like the earlier 80s film Pin I spoke about, I also didn't absolutely love the start of this film. When the siblings were children, there were also a few strange choices there, but luckily that scene is just at the beginning. I feel like that's very common in 80s horror films, where we see a traumatic event happening with parents and children, and then we see the characters grown up later. Very common in slashers. We got some wacky kill scenes. The gore and practical effects didn't look that realistic. It definitely was obvious, but I just feel like that added to the campiness. We also got some computer effects towards the end, and I actually thought they were really cool. The visuals, especially for the last scene, were really fun and very unique. I love discovering gems like this that remind me of later films, because you can definitely see a lot of inspiration for films that came out after. My last recommendation today is another found footage film called Frogman. A lot of the films on this list ended up being quite short. This one is only 81 minutes long, and we follow the tale of a cryptid. This is done in a very similar way to other found footage films, where we follow a group of filmmakers who are out looking for the legend of something, whether it be a cryptid like in Willow Creek and the Lost Coast tapes, or of course for a witch like in the Blair Witch Project, which was definitely one of the first and what shaped all of these films that we are now seeing today. I had never heard of the legend of Frogman before this film. I don't know if it's an actual legend in real life. I can just assume it is, and honestly, sounds terrifying but also hilarious. A passionate filmmaker struggling to make his break meets up with a group of his friends to set out after news of a sighting of the Frogman, which they think would be incredible to capture on camera. And even if they don't, it would make a great story anyway. I think this is one that I would probably only really recommend to people who love found footage, just because it is very similar to a lot of found footage films, and I do think there are ones that are maybe more palatable for a wider audience and people who aren't super into the subgenre. The setting of the woods at night is typical for these films, but it always works, so it's a fail-safe option, especially when we're kind of looking through the trees, trying to spot something in the background, in the distance, trying to get a glimpse of Frogman. It definitely has a really creepy atmosphere, and the tension building rises a lot towards the end of the film. So that's it for my Tubi recommendations today. I will add it to my playlist with all of the other videos I've done on Tubi recommendations, so you've got a lot to choose from. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another one very soon.